Hi folks. Okay, so we're going to spend some time going through this practical exercise. I'm going to demonstrate the exercise for the secret diary example. And before you watch it, go through this exercise and have a look at thinking about cohesion and encapsulation. Document what you think it means to you, and then you'll be able to refine your understanding throughout this exercise and then also continue this practice over the next few weeks. We're trying to get better at understanding how to encapsulate program behavior and how to think about cohesion. So have a good practice through this exercise, looking at how to diagram the methods in this example for the bank and secret diary example, and then again for the calculator example, and then pull out some behavior into a separate class. These are all fairly simple exercises. And then have a good go at exercise 4. It increases the complexity a little bit, and go through it yourself. And once you've done it, you'll be able to take real advantage of watching this walkthrough video. So whatever you're doing now, just pause, make sure you've gone through the steps and have a go at it, and then you can resume watching this video. Cool. So I guess I'm gonna test drive this example into one class, and then when they're green, organize it into 2 classes by reorganizing tests as well. All right. So I'm going to just throw this into a README. Here. Boom. Okay, so test drive the secret diary example. That's great. And I guess I'm going to add a Gem file. I'm going to add my test framework using mspec for the moment. And I'm going to let's create a spec file. So just do it here, spec and secret diary, that's what it's called. And I'm going to require my source code, so this is going to be from my lib folder, and I'm going to get my secret diary file, load my source code, and then I'm going to describe my secret diary. This is the behavior of a secret diary. So what I want it to do, I want it to be able to add entry and get entry, but not able to do it unless it's unlocked. So I guess I have 2 scenarios, right? I have 2 contexts. I'm going to describe the context where it's locked, and when it's unlocked. Then I'm going to have a look at the locked situation. So what I need is I'm going to expect when I get my secret diary and I try to add an entry. Let's say, for example, hello. Expect this to equal, sorry, diary is locked. I need to actually put this in an example. When locked, cannot add entry. So let's put that in the right place. Cool. So I think this is, let's give it back because I don't need that in a moment. A secret diary, when locked, it cannot add entry. So I expect secret diary, well, I call this method with this argument. So I need to figure out what my secret diary is. Is a secret diary new instance. Cool. Well, let's just let's get that working first. So let's see how far I go just by running these tests. So mspec spec and need my secret diary spec. Can't load secret diary because it probably doesn't exist. It doesn't, so let's put it in the lib folder and go secretdiary.rb. Need a class, secret diary. Oops. Yeah, fine. I need an add method. I need an argument, and I'm going to pass a string. Cool. Expected sorry diary is locked. Well, I guess that's what we can just return at the moment. Sorry, diary is locked. Great. Let me just double check with mspec. So this arrow down here, I want to actually start running my readability tests. So let's just make sure I have my set of rules and this config file. So again, cool. I don't need to change this at the moment because I will be using this argument at some point. So when it's locked, it cannot add an entry. At the moment, that's the only thing it can do. So let's describe when it's unlocked as well. So what I want it to do is something like SecretDiary unlock as part of my setup. And I want to be able to have like a message that says, yep, cool, you've done it. SecretDiary.add hello is equal to okay, so that's what I wanted to do. At some point when I write my read method, I want to read all my entries, and that's when I'll have a look at that. So maybe that could have been a good place to start, but we'll figure out what this add method does first. Describe when unlocked, cannot add an entry. Create an instance of my secret diary, I unlock it, and then I expect that to be fine. So let's go ahead. Let me just put it over here so we can actually see both. Let's have my spec on the right. Cool, okay, so def unlock. Okay, expected okay, got sorry, diary is locked. So when it's unlocked, I need to figure out a way to say, ignore this and do something else. So it's expected to give okay, so that's what I want it to do, but it's not getting here. So I need to say something like return, sorry, if it's locked, right? That's what I want to do. So let's create a private method at locked and figure out a way to say is the status locked, which means I need a status, so that's part of my initial state. So let's define some initial state, initialize, and let's always start off with it to be locked. It's not off all directs to be locked. And so an unlocked method is going to unlock it. So let's do something like status is now equal to unlocked. Can. Cool. I need a space here. So at the moment, I've got some very simple functionality, and I don't really have like a test for my unlock method at the moment. I think I'm okay with that for the moment. I might add that in later, but at the moment I'm focusing on add and read as my program behavior. So initialize it with the status locked, and then I have this method add. Cool. So let's. I feel like I actually want to write a test for this now. So let's do that. Describe can be locked. So it starts locked. Expect secret diary dot lock. I could just say here and not have it private like that. Okay, but before we do that, let's keep it private. So expect secret diary dot locked to equal true, and it can be unlocked. To equal false, and I need a secret diary. To unlock first. So I need a secret diary in both these examples. Cool. So I'm going to just reverse that for the moment and just have a look at those unlocked tests. So just backing up a second and just focusing on making sure that this unlock works as I want it to. So there's going to be some syntax. Private method locked, so let's now make that not private. And there's an undefined method unlock, so now let's define it. Expected false got true, so now let's make it like this. Starts locked and can be unlocked. Cool. Let's do one more so we can lock and unlock. Can be locked. Undefined method lock, so let's do that, and cool. So let's add these tests back in. Cool. So when locked, cannot add entry. When unlocked, can add entry. So then let's go back and have a look at my README. When the user calls unlock, okay, so I've done the first part. When it's locked, they should give back a message. When the user calls unlock, so now let's make sure we do those unlock tests. So describe, let's copy this set of tests. And this is when unlocked can, oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. What I want to do is add individual examples here. So when it's locked, it cannot read entries. So let's create a secret diary, and we can make our assertion something like expect secret diary.read to the same thing. Still don't want it to work. Undefined method read, so let's go ahead and define it. Expected, diary is locked, so that's actually what I want to do. Ooh. At the moment, cool. And then when it's unlocked, let's Let's add another condition here. It can read entries. SecretDiary unlock read to equal, and then let's say I need to add an entry, don't I? Add hello, and then I want this to equal. Let's go hello, and then add world to equal hello world. So I'll just list them in order. So expected to get, when it's unlocked, hello world, but I got SecretDiary is locked because that's the only thing it returns at the moment. So we do something like this. Let's just add the condition in, and then say I want to get all of the strings. Now this is where I need to like figure out how to make sure I'm storing this, and so I need to create some initial state here. Entries. It's going to start off with an array, and then I'm going to make sure I shovel into it the string, and I want to read it back, so I want to say something like entries, join it together with the new line character. SecretDiary spec line 53, fair. Cool. All right. So the next step now is to think about the behavior. And in this class, I have two things going on, right? I'm adding or inserting into an array, and then reading from joining it. So this stuff here is different to the checking whether it's locked and locking it. So I'm going to try and pull out just the entries adding and reading, and we're going to have an object to handle this. So what I want to do is add a spec file, which is just the diary element, not the secret part of it. So let's go to a diary spec. Require my diary, which I'll write in a second. It'll be quite similar. And I'm going to describe my diary, and I'm going to just borrow some of these, the format of the tests, which is down here. I'm not going to worry about when it can't. It should just be able to, when unlocked, these ones down here. So I'll grab these two tests. I don't care about having to have it unlocked and unlocked, so I don't care about all the names. Feels like it should be about right. So describe diary, it can add an entry, diary.new, add, it can read entries, add hello world, expect diary to read hello world. So that feels like a set of tests just for the diary. So I'm going to just run those tests. Cool, so let's go ahead and build out that object. Diary, class diary, and I need to add methods. I'm going to take the add and initialize method. I don't need status, I don't need this part, I don't need this part. Cool. Quite simple, right? It's quite straightforward. So now we need to think about how do I use them in conjunction. Well, now that I've done my diary spec and my diary, I go back to my SecretDiary spec and I got to figure out a way to update it, right? So in all the tests, I need to create a diary. I'm not going to mock it for the moment. I'm just going to keep it. I'll do it maybe as the next step. So create a secret diary. Create a secret diary. Sorry, create a diary. Create a diary. Create a diary. Da 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 da. I'm going to inject it in. So maybe I'll just do it this way. Be always super careful when you start doing things en masse because you'll always end up forgetting something. Not just diary, I just want to inject the diary. Okay, so I've just quickly created an instance of diary and I'm going to inject it into my secret diary. So I'm going to keep the locked parts of it. And I'm going to essentially keep everything as is over here, but I need to find a way to, let's go back to my secret spec. Uninitialized constant diary, so I need to make sure I now have it. I should have done it on this one, this side of things. So I'm going to, the actual error message said that I need to require the file, so let's make sure I have a diary class available to it. Diary. And now I need to inject it, so let's call it diary, and it's not worry. Now I can just replace this, right? So we can just forward all the messages to it. And I guess this is the point, right? How do we use multiple classes once we've encapsulated them? We ask one class to forward messages to another. So let's store it in diary, and now we can just forward the behavior and say you just read. So the other way around, right? You add a string. And you just read. Cool. So I've extracted the behavior and now I've injected. Now SecretDiary is not responsible for doing any adding or reading. It forwards those messages to its sort of diary object, and that does adding and reading. The SecretDiary is just responsible for knowing its status about being locked and being able to unlock or lock it. Cool. Let's just go one more step and try to mock it now, so we can have unisolated or isolated tests. So wherever I see I'm using an instance of diary, I need to use my test double method. So let's do it for the one example first, and then we can copy it for the rest. So that shouldn't change anything because I'm just looking whether it's locked. So let's do it for those ones where it doesn't actually mean anything much because I'm just checking whether it's locked or unlocked. So nothing should be able to be different. Let's make sure, I'm going to make sure I'm running both tests, so let's create a spec runner to help with that. Specrunner.rm. Where I'm going to require my diary spec. And my secret diary. Cool. All my test doubles are fine at the moment because they're not being used. They're just replacing the diary example. And now actually we'll need to forward messages to them, so let's make sure they can respond to those messages. Describe when locked. I'm going to use my test double. The locked part, again, we're not actually forwarding any messages yet, because in each of these cases for my, I clearly wasn't using the right page, let's get rid of it. I'm not getting down here yet, so even with both add and read messages, I can just keep my done mock, which is just by itself. So when locked, and when locked, let's create my test double. And when it's unlocked, I use my test double. And let's make sure. Undefined add for my mocks. I need to make sure they have the behavior. So create my test double, allow diary to receive, add, and return hello. No, I want it to just return okay, right? This is saying that I'm giving it the ability to receive the method add and return okay. So when I do ask my secret diary to add a string, I will then forward a message to diary, which should return okay. Cool. And let's do the same over here. Add and also read, and when my diary receives read, it will give back that. Cool. Done. So I have my secret diary with an injected diary, which is responsible for adding and reading, and I have my diary, which does adding strings into an array and joining them together, and I have a secret diary spec that tests for whether it's locked or unlocked, and when it is locked, it can't do things. When it's unlocked, it can do things, and we're using a mock to replace the behavior of the diary dependency. Cool. Thanks, folks, and that's it for now.